Welcome to LinguaWire English A2. Today, we have two stories. Qatar talks with Iran. Bill Gates talks about AI and jobs. To help you follow today's episode, transcripts and vocabulary are at linguawire.com. Qatar's Prime Minister is heading to Tehran. Now we go to Liam, our LinguaWire correspondent for World Affairs.
Thanks, Daniel. Yes, this is a careful diplomatic visit. Qatar says Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Jassim Al Thani will go to Tehran Thursday. He is also Qatar's foreign minister. Officials say he will meet several Iranian officials. They will talk about easing tensions. They also want to bring Iran and the United States back to the table.
So this is not just a routine trip. It sounds like Qatar is trying to calm a very tense situation.
Exactly. Qatar has been acting as a bridge between Washington and Tehran. That role matters. Direct talks have been weak for months. The two sides briefly had a deal in June, but it fell apart in July.
And the conflict around them is still going on in the background. What else is pushing this visit right now?
There are two big pressures. First, the U.S. says it will increase economic pressure on Iran. It plans to do that by targeting trade partners. Second, the two sides still disagree about the Strait of Hormuz. That waterway is very important for oil and gas shipments. Before the war began, it carried about 20 million barrels a day. Now the source says the flow has fallen to about 5 million barrels daily.
That is a very sharp fall. And it affects far more than just Iran and the US, right?
Yes, because many countries depend on that route. Qatar says the talks in Tehran will also cover the waterway. The goal is to return it to the status it had before late February. Iran says it wants the strait under its control. The U.S. wants it to stay open for all. So this visit is really about trying to stop a wider crisis from growing.
That is a lot of pressure for one meeting. Do officials sound hopeful or just cautious?
Mostly cautious. Iran says it will discuss mediation efforts and other regional issues. But there is still no sign of a full deal. So for now, this visit is a sign that diplomacy is still alive. It is fragile, though.
Bill Gates is warning about AI and jobs. Now we go to Mia, our LinguaWire correspondent for technology.
Thanks, Daniel. Yes, his message is quite serious. In a new essay, Gates says artificial intelligence is moving very fast. He says it could shake the US job market. He also says it could put millions of jobs at risk.
That is a strong warning. What kind of work does he think AI can take over?
He says AI will take on work in law. It will also take on work in customer service and in medicine, software, and manufacturing. He thinks that change could happen over a decade. He does not think it will take many generations. That is one reason he says workers may have less time to prepare.
So this is not only about the future. He thinks the change is coming fast.
Yes, and he says the biggest shift comes when AI gives nearly error-free work. At that point, a company may let the machine work on its own. He says the company will have a strong money reason to do that. He also says AI is already changing white-collar jobs. For example, companies are giving data analysis tasks to AI instead of people.
That is a very clear change in office work. But he is not only talking about desks and computers, is he?
No, he also warns about blue-collar jobs. He says smart robots may soon compete with people in physical work. He mentions construction and hospitality as examples. He also worries about young people entering the job market. If there are fewer openings, it may be harder for them to start.
So the problem is not just losing jobs now, it is also about what happens to new workers.
Exactly. Gates says policymakers should act now. He talks about possible taxes on AI tools and robots. He says that could slow the replacement of people with machines. He also says some jobs like caregiving should stay with humans. His point is that governments need a plan before the disruption gets bigger.
That is a big policy debate. And it shows the question is not only what AI can do, it is also what societies should allow it to do. First, 3 words from the AI story. Risk means danger or the chance of harm. In the story, Gates said millions of jobs could be at risk. Example, there is a risk of rain this afternoon. Shift means a change from one thing to another. In the story, Gates said the biggest shift will happen when AI gets better. Example, we saw a shift in the mood after the announcement. Replace means to take the place of something or someone. In the story, robots may replace people in some jobs. Example, we need to replace the broken chair. Now the grammar point, be going to plus verb. We use it for a future plan or a clear future result. Example 1. Qatar is going to talk to Iranian officials. Example 2. AI is going to change some jobs quickly. Repeat after me. Is going to change. New this month, the LinguaWire Field Guide. For every news theme, it gives you the 50 key words to know, the most important verbs and conjugations that cover 90% of the full month's news podcast episodes, and lesson sheets on the fundamentals, how sentences are built, how the articles work, with flashcard practice to test yourself on all of it. Find it at linguawire.com guide.